Some stories begin with a scream, others start in total silence. But this story begins with a knock. A soft, slow, chilling knock that came every single night, always at 2:33 a.m. The villagers called it a strange hour, a time when the world becomes still and the veil between worlds is at its thinnest. But for Dara, a young man who had just moved to the small village, 2:33 a.m. would become the time that changed his life forever. Dara was tired of living in the city, the constant noise, the suffocating pressure, the endless problems. So when he heard about a cheap, old wooden house in the countryside, he rented it without a second thought. The house stood alone, surrounded by a vast rice field where the wind moved through the long grass like waves on a quiet ocean. During the day, the house looked peaceful, almost beautiful. But at night, the darkness around it felt heavy, as if something unseen was watching from the shadows. Dara didn't believe in ghosts. Not yet, anyway. The first day went smoothly. He unpacked his belongings, cooked a simple dinner, and relaxed. By 10 p.m. he was fast asleep. But at 2:33 a.m. he woke up suddenly. He wasn't sure why. Then he heard it. Knock, knock, knock. Slow, soft. Each knock carefully measured. Someone was at his front door. Dara sat up straight, his heart pounding. Who would be visiting this late? Maybe someone needed help. Maybe it was a thief. Or maybe just the wind trying to be brave. He crept to the door. Hello, he called out. There was no answer. He slowly unlocked the door and pulled it open. There was no one there, just the quiet fields under a cloudy, moonless sky. He quickly closed the door and locked it tight. The next night, Dara stayed up late watching videos, trying to forget about the strange knock. But again, like clockwork, at 2:33 a.m. knock, knock, knock. The same slow, deliberate rhythm. He walked to the door again, his nerves on edge. And again, he found no one. This time, as he stood by the closed door, he felt a cold wind pass right through him. Something was definitely wrong, but he brushed it off. It's just my imagination, he told himself. On the third night, the knocking returned right on time. At 2:33 a.m., Dara stood frozen in the dark hallway. Every instinct in his body screamed at him, do not open the door. So he didn't. He just stood there, listening as the knocking grew louder, more insistent knock. Knock, knock! Then, just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. A heavy silence filled the entire house. Dara didn't sleep again that night. The next morning, tired and shaken, Dara walked to the small local shop to buy some food. The old woman who owned the shop stared at him with concerned eyes. You look exhausted, she said. Having nightmares? Dara hesitated. No, someone keeps knocking on my door. Every night, the friendly chatter in the shop fell completely silent. The woman leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. At 2:33 a.m., Dara's heart dropped into his stomach. How did you know? The woman sighed, a deep, sad sound. You must not open the door. No matter what you hear, that house, it is not empty at night. What do you mean? Dara asked, his voice trembling. She hesitated for a moment, then whispered, a woman died there many, many years ago. They say she still returns. Dara felt a chill crawl up his spine. The old woman told him everything. Her name was Sophia. She had lived in that house long before Dara. One night she went out into the fields during a storm and never came back. Her husband searched for her for days. They finally found her body near an old mango tree, her hand reaching toward the house, as if she had been trying to get back home. Ever since, villagers claimed they could hear her spirit knocking, still trying to come home. Dara didn't want to believe it, but the cold fear inside him told him it was true. That night, he tried his best to stay awake, but exhaustion took over. And just before 2:33 a.m., he drifted off. He was jolted awake by the familiar sound. Knock, knock, knock. But this time, another sound followed. A whisper, soft, broken, and desperate. Let me in. Dara jumped out of bed, his body shaking uncontrollably. He backed away from the door as the whisper continued. Closer now. Please, it's so cold. Let me in. Her voice was faint, but so painfully human. He wanted to run. He wanted to scream, but he was paralyzed by fear. He just stood there, listening to a dead woman begging to be let inside. Then the knocking stopped, silence, and then tap. Tap, tap, footsteps. Inside the house, but no doors had opened. No windows were broken. He was alone. The footsteps moved slowly across the wooden floor, getting closer. heading toward his bedroom. Dara scrambled into a corner, holding his breath, trying to make himself invisible. The footsteps stopped right outside his door. Then creak! The bedroom door began to slowly. Dara squeezed his eyes shut, too terrified to look. He could hear soft breathing. It was cold and shaky. Then silence. When he finally found the courage to open his eyes, no one was there, but the smell of damp soil and rain filled the room of the fields where she died. Dara had two choices: run away from the house and never look back, or try to understand what the ghost wanted. He was terrified, but a strange feeling of pity washed over him. Why was she knocking? Why did she whisper? Why did she keep returning? He decided he needed to find answers. The next day, he went to the mango tree where the villagers had found Sophia's body. The tree stood tall and lonely, its branches bending like tired arms. Under the tree, the soil looked disturbed, as if someone had recently been digging there. Dara knelt down and touched the ground. It was ice cold. Suddenly, he felt a presence right behind him. A woman's voice whispered in his ear. "You found me?" Dara jumped and spun around, but no one was there. The air around him felt heavy, like someone invisible was standing right beside him. He rushed home before dark and began searching the house, desperate to find something connected to Sophia, hidden in the back of the bedroom closet. Under a pile of old blankets, he found a small wooden box. Inside, his hands trembled as he discovered a faded photograph of a smiling young woman, a small silver necklace, and a diary. He carefully opened the diary. The last page had only one sentence, written in a shaky hand. "If something happens to me, please bring me home. I don't want to be alone in the fields." Dara finally understood everything. She wasn't trying to scare him. She wasn't trying to hurt him. She was lost, and she just wanted to come home. That night, Dara placed the wooden box on a small table near the front door. He lit a single candle beside it, and he waited. At exactly 2:33 a.m., the knocking returned, soft, slow, sad. Dara took a deep breath, and for the first time, he walked to the door and opened it. This time, someone stood there. A pale woman in a white dress, her hair long and wet, her eyes dark and empty. But she didn't look angry. She just looked lost. Her lips trembled as she spoke, her voice a fragile whisper. "I want to go home." Dara nodded, tears welling in his eyes. He stepped aside, holding the door open. The spirit slowly entered the house. She walked to the table and touched the wooden box gently, and for the first time, she smiled, a small, soft, peaceful smile. As she smiled, her body began to fade, like smoke disappearing in the wind. The candle flame flickered and went out, and the house fell silent. The next morning, everything felt different. The air was warmer, the house felt brighter. It was finally peaceful. The knocking never happened again. When Dara told the villagers what he had done, they nodded with understanding. She just wanted to go home, the old shopkeeper said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Thank you for helping her find peace." Dara stayed in that house for many years. He never saw the ghost again. But sometimes, on quiet nights, he would feel a soft, gentle breeze pass through the room, a quiet reminder of the woman who had finally found her way home. Some spirits return to scare. Some return to warn, but some return because they are simply lost. And all they need is someone brave enough to open the door. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more tales from the shadows.